Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Josh Lander on a Saturday here with you in the NBA. We have a bunch of games to choose from, I should say, but I'm only going to get into a few of them here, trying to rush this one out the door, make sure I get these picks for you. If you are following along on Twitter, you already saw one of these picks, Luka Doncic assists. I'll get into that here in just a second and a bit more about him with a little bit of a ladder maybe. If you want to get bump those assists up for him, get a bit more juice on your bets. Quick look at the show record as we have it here. Friday, another great night in the player props department there for us. 3-1 plus 2 units on the Coast to Coast podcast. No weekend episode, as you know. That's why you're only getting the picks here on this podcast. But season totals now after the 5-3 night total with the props and the best bets. 90 and 76 plus 21.1 units. Feeling really good about the props too, man. Made 7 units in the last week. 1 unit a day on player props in the NBA. I will take that for sure. So we continue to stride along here. Let's just get right into these best bets so you guys can see these before the games start. Luka Doncic, this was at 7.5 for no juice, minus 140. And now we get it all the way up to 8.5, but we do get plus 110 on it. And I would still take it. I said on Twitter when I bet the 7.5 over that I was also taking 10 plus assists for plus money, and I would continue to do that if it went up. So the 9 assists I think is a really good line for him to just take to get 9 plus. If you don't have that available and you only have 8.5 or 9, whatever, like take 8.5, take 10. I'm all over this with him tonight. It's the drop coverage versus Milwaukee that he's going to be playing. There's a lot of threes to be had against this Milwaukee defense. Sure, they can sort of control who they want to shoot a bit more. That's sort of the style they play, is let the guys that they want. That's who they're dropping off of, is the opponents that they don't mind having the ball in their hands outside the 3-point line to shoot. That's just everybody for Dallas at this point, outside of like Derek Lively. So there's going to be a lot of 3-point shooters, and that's why Luka continues to get assists, is their style of play is just throw the ball at the rim from 3 over and over and over, to the tune of the most 3-point attempts in the league. Highest percentage of their shots that they take are from the 3-point line, and it's because it's the spread style offense with Luka. Add Kyrie in there as well, obviously, and another lethal shooter and playmaker. But Luka's continuing to get the assists here in these positions. So I'll take him against a still very lackluster Milwaukee defense to get those assists. That's my favorite play here. I'm going to go into this Jonathan Kuminga bet as my second one here, over 12.5 points for Kuminga. That line is not out yet as I'm recording this. Hopefully you can get it soon. I can't imagine it comes out higher than 12.5. That's why I have it here, and what I would still play the over to. If you want to do a little ladder with Jay Kuminga as well, not against that. 15 plus points is also a really solid bet for Kuminga. They need him against this OKC team. They don't have athletes. And Gary Payton Jr., who was their other athlete essentially, is now out as well for tonight's game on Saturday, which, by the way, I'll be at again in this Warriors game courtside. I got hooked up for this one, so I'll be taking some videos for Twitter and all the rest. But more importantly for Jonathan Kuminga, he's needed out there to play defense on very specific guys like J-Dub, Josh Giddey, even Chet at times. Now that Draymond is not around, you're going to see Kuminga on Chet Holmgren as well. And the other reason they need him, like I said, is the athleticism. He leads them in fast break points. The usage rate for him jumps up when they play athletic teams like OKC, and especially OKC, because they want him to attack the rim. If there's no fear for the other team that the Warriors have anybody that can break them down and attack the rim with their athleticism, with the ball in their hands, or cutting to the rim without the ball, there's nobody besides Jonathan Kuminga that they really fear doing that. Maybe Wiggs, but Wiggins is just in a rut right now that is frustrating a lot of fans. I'll say that, but more importantly, it's worth not betting on him or fading Wiggins right now. Kuminga's stepped up and been the guy that at times they want Wiggins to be, even more so as a center, though. He plays bigger than Andrew Wiggins, less handles, but definitely better athleticism at this point, I would say, as well. So I think with the higher usage rate, the minutes, 12.5 points is a good bet for him. Clay continues to just struggle mightily. It's really kind of getting sad to watch, but he'll find his stroke at some point. It might be tonight, but it's really going to be those three, in my opinion, with whatever they can get from Andrew Wiggins. And if Wiggins and Clay are struggling the way they are, then Jonathan Kuminga's green light is just going to continue to skyrocket. He had tied for the most field goal attempts in this last outing against the Oklahoma City Thunder when Steph was out. Obviously, those might dwindle a bit, but there's still plenty to go around for him after Steph, if Steph is in for this game, which brings us to the third best bet, and it's highly dependent on Steph being in this game, because I don't even really like SGA by himself to get 30 plus points if Steph's not in this game. If Steph is in this game, I like them both to do it, and I'm going to parlay them together to have some fun tonight. Plus 207 on FanDuel. If Steph doesn't play, this is void, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm getting it out to you now. Hopefully, you can get it in time, and Steph plays and gives us a show. They both love playing on Saturday night. There's been 3 matchups between these two teams on Saturday night in the last 5 seasons, and they've all gone over. And Steph has 30 in all of them. SGA has 30 in 3 of them. He didn't play in the other one. So I love this Saturday night matchup of, like, stars out and on the big stage with everybody watching and people coming out and able to attend at a raucous Chase arena. They're going to need this game hugely. So Steph comes in with 30 plus in his last 4 versus the Thunder. He is going to be hungry, especially because they can't afford to lose this one. He obviously just missed a few games. Now he's back. Hopefully, he's still questionable while I'm recording this, but hopefully he's back. And I'm just going to continue along as if he is, because otherwise this bet doesn't matter anyway. But if he is in and they need this win, 6-7 right now and fading, can't continue to lose to Western Conference opponents either, the way they did to the Thunder and to the Timberwolves before that. SGA is going to be hungry as well if Steph's in there. I think SGA was kind of like a warrior without an opponent the other day when he was playing the Warriors basically without anybody that they would normally have it, and Clay sort of a shell of himself, especially in that game. It was sort of like he was up there to battle with nobody to really battle him. He had an awful shooting night, 6 for 21, but it felt bored. Like they just kept letting the Warriors come back and within 6 points, 7 points, 8 points after having like a 15 to 20 point lead. And then they would just build it back up to double digits and above after the Warriors would get even a little bit close. I think that was just indicative of the fact that he just didn't really care. And it was tough for him to like find the, I guess, motivation to be his best. That all sounds like excuses, but either way, after a game where he doesn't score 30, Shai is pretty good for 30. There's only been one game this season that he didn't score 30, and the following game also didn't score 30. So only once back to back. 30 plus in 2 straight versus the Dubs before this last Thursday night game where he scored just 20 points and didn't even need to play 30 minutes. Barely got over that. So like this team is in a really, really good place right now. I do like them to win, even if Steph is there. Of course, I'm not really going to bet on them if Steph is there, to be honest. It's -1 right now. Kind of feels like that -1 is books hedging against Steph coming back into this in playing in this game. Otherwise, it would be way bigger. It would be at least 4.5, in my opinion, for the Thunder on the road after what we just saw against a team that's going to look almost exactly the same, except for no Gary Payton, and Steph Curry might play, which would be huge. So, like I said, all that is highly dependent on Steph. Let's run through those bets real quick and just let you know, Luka Doncic, over 8.5 assists, play that to 10 plus for a bit more money as well. I think you can get 10 plus for plus 205 right now on DraftKings. I would hit that little baby ladder, but definitely the majority of your units on the over 8.5 to just take it. Jonathan Kuminga over 12.5 points, little ladder to 15 plus for him as well, as soon as you get those lines for Kuminga. And then Steph Curry and SGA, a little 30 plus points parlay for the two of them in the same game there, plus 207 on FanDuel. All right, let me get this video out to you guys. That's all the time I have for you in this one. Appreciate all the new subscribers. Continue to follow along, man. Hit this like and subscribe button. Super appreciated. Helps me out a lot, as you know. So I'll continue to bring you these picks on the weekends when there's no coast to coast. And until I see you next, happy betting.